The best part of sleeving up is combo wins in your cup. Combo wins are part of a complete breakfast. Hello everyone and welcome to Meta Game Mastery. We are doing our first Dominaria deck tech for Jhoira, Weatherlight Captain, EDH, and Commander. If you enjoy our content, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Big time! Go time! Let's go! First up, let's take a look at our Commander. First thing you'll notice is that there's no card image here, and that's because this is one of the cards that was leaked for Dominaria a couple weeks ago. This is Jhoira, Weatherlight Captain. She's 4 CMC, 2 colorless, blue-red for a 3/3 legendary human artificer, and whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card. That includes artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. So what we're going to do with this deck is we are going to get her out as fast as possible, and we are going to get the additional value off of every single artifact we play so that we can continue casting spells over and over and over again throughout the turn. And then we're going to finish off our opponents with Storm, one of the best keyword abilities in the history of the game. Let's take a look at what our actual kill cards are. First up, the classic Grape Shot sees a ton of modern play. It's 2 CMC, 1 colorless and a red for a sorcery. It deals 1 damage to target creature or player with Storm. Now, if you're not familiar, when you cast the spell, copy it for each spell cast before it this turn. You may choose new targets for the copies. So let's say we've cast 10 cards before this. When we cast this, there will be 10 more copies on the stack, allowing us to do 10 damage to any combination of creatures or players. Our goal is to crank this up so that it's enough damage to kill all of our opponents in one shot. We're also playing the functional reprint of Firebrand Archer, 2 CMC, 1 colorless and a red for a 2/1 human archer. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Firebrand Archer deals 1 damage to each opponent. So we're going to be casting a ton of artifact spells, and she's just going to be pinging, 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 pinging all around the board, actually getting exponential value by dealing 1 damage to each opponent for each spell. And we have a backup plan. It's Brain Freeze. 2 CMC, 1 colorless and a blue. Instant. Target player puts the top 3 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard with Storm. Now, this is a backup plan, just in case, for whatever reason, we can't get to the other two. We'll use this one. The obvious obstacle with Mill and EDH is those darn Eldrazi Titans make it impossible for us to actually win through milling. So if your opponent's running one of them, they'll survive this. Everyone else will die. And of course, what's Storm without Mind's Desire? 6 CMC, 4 colorless, blue, blue for a sorcery. Shuffle your library, then exile the top card from your library. Until end of turn, you may play that card without paying its casting cost. Storm. So this is just another way for us to continue playing through our entire deck. If for whatever reason we run out of mana, if for whatever reason we run out of cards, we just play Mind's Desire and continue playing through our entire deck. And then there's the new hotness, Aetherflux Reservoir. It's 4 colorless mana for an artifact. Whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you've cast this turn. So basically, you gain life based off of your storm count. And then at any time, you can pay 50 life, and it deals 50 damage to target creature or player. Just another roundabout way for us to storm off, gain a ton of life, and then start paying that life to kill off opponents. And now let's look at our combo cards. Vedalken Archmage basically has the same ability that Jhoira does. He's 4 CMC, 2 colorless, blue, blue for a 0/2 Vedalken Wizard. Whenever you play an artifact spell, draw a card. So on the off chance, for whatever reason, we can't get Jhoira in play, this is our backup plan so that we can continue getting that cantrip value off of each spell. And then If for whatever reason our opponents can't be damaged, we've got Laboratory Maniac as yet another alternate win condition. He's 3 CMC, 2 colorless and a blue for a 2/2 human wizard. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. And Isochron Scepter is going to get us a ton of value in this deck. It's 2 CMC, artifact with imprint. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile an instant card with convert mana cost 2 or less from your hand. You can pay 2 colorless mana, tap it. You may copy the exiled card. If you do, you may cast a copy of this without paying its mana cost. So this is awesome because what we could do is we could attach Dramatic Reversal to it, and with mana rocks that produce at least 3 mana, we get infinite mana. That's right. It's 1 colorless and a blue for an instant. Untap all non-land permanents you control. You tap your mana rocks, float the 3 mana, pay 2 of it to tap Isochron Scepter, put this on the stack. This untaps the mana rock and the Isochron Scepter, leaving 1 mana floating. So as long as we've got mana rocks on board, we can go infinite. It's also awesome with Retract. It's 1 blue mana for an instant. Return all artifacts you control to their owner's hands. So if we flood the field with artifacts and we run out of gas, we want to keep our storm count going though. So we can put them all back in our hand with Retract and double our storm count. And if we have Retract on Isochron Scepter, we can do that each and every turn cycle. Another great card is Hurkyl's Recall. It's 2 CMC, 1 colorless and blue. Instant, return all artifacts target player owns to his or her hand. Just basically 2 mana Retract for this deck. And what combo deck would be complete without Paradox Engine? Possibly the best card in all of Commander right now. It's 5 colorless mana for a legendary artifact. Whenever you cast a spell, untap all non-land permanents you control. And with Ancestral Statue, we can pay 4 colorless mana for a 3/4 artifact creature golem. When Ancestral Statue enters the battlefield, return a non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. So with this card, we can get Paradox Engine in play, have mana rocks that tap for at least 4, minimum of 4. We play Ancestral Statue, it triggers Paradox Engine, we untap everything, and Ancestral Statue can target himself, bouncing himself back to your hand. And you can ramp up your storm count infinitely with that combo. But in order to make this work, we're going to need some fast mana. So let's take a look at our fast mana suite. First up, another new card spoiled in Dominaria's leak is Mox Amber. It's 0 mana for a legendary artifact. Tap it, add 1 mana of any color among legendary creatures and planeswalkers you control. So this is not going to help us get Jhoira in play, but once Jhoira is in play, we can go ahead and continue to ramp out our other spells, specifically our storm cards, because our goal is to get Jhoira out early, and then on top of that, we want to draw our entire deck, storm out, and have the mana to cast our storm spells and win same turn. That's the goal. We want to win turn 3, 4, or 5 before our opponents even have a chance to put the kibosh on this. Also, Chrome Mox is 0 mana artifact with imprints. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile a non-artifact, non-land card from your hand. Tap, add 1 mana of the exiled card's colors to your mana pool. And Mox Opal is 0 mana for a legendary artifact with Metalcraft. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Activate this ability only if you have 3 or more artifacts. We're going to be playing a ton of artifacts in this deck. Metalcraft will be no problem. And Lotus Petal is 0 mana for an artifact. You can tap it, sack it, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Mana Crypt is 0 mana for an artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, Mana Crypt deals 3 damage to you. You can tap it to add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. This will help you get Jhoira out on turn 2. Mana Vault is 1 mana for an artifact. It doesn't untap during your untap step. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may pay 4 colorless mana. If you do, untap Mana Vault. At the beginning of your draw step, if Mana Vault is tapped, it deals 1 damage to you. You can tap it to add 3 mana to your mana pool. All we care about is that you pay 1 mana, you get 3 mana, same turn. That's straight value. And it will replace itself if we cast it after Jhoira's in play. So there is absolutely no downside. We can also untap it with Paradox Engine when we draw into it. All upside. And Sol Ring is 1 colorless mana for an artifact. Tap it to add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. And as the professor would say, because Sol Ring. Jeweled Amulet is 0 mana for an artifact. You can pay 1 colorless mana, tap it, put a charge counter on Jeweled Amulet. Note the type of mana spent to pay this activation cost. Play this ability only if there are no charge counters on Jeweled Amulet. You can tap it, remove a charge counter from Jeweled Amulet, add 1 mana of Jeweled Amulet's last noted type to your mana pool. So this is a mana battery. It stores colored mana from one turn to the next. So there's a way for us to get Jhoira out early, but it won't help us ramp out storm spells once we get going. Paradise Mantle is 0 mana for an artifact equipment with an equip cost of 1. Equipped creature has tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Grim Monolith is 2 mana for an artifact. It does not untap during your untap phase. You can tap it to add 3 colorless mana to your mana pool. Pay this ability only as a mana source. You can pay 4 colorless mana to untap Grim Monolith. All we care about is that you pay 2 mana and you get 3 mana back. We can untap it other ways. Basalt Monolith is 3 colorless mana for an artifact. It doesn't untap during your untap step. You can tap it to add 3 colorless mana to your mana pool. You can pay 3 to untap Basalt Monolith. It pays for itself. You pay 3, you get 3 back same turn. That's effectively free in a Jhoira deck. And with Jhoira's ability, this will be a free card draw. High Tide is 1 blue mana for an instant until end of turn. Whenever a player taps an island for mana, that player adds 1 blue to his or her mana pool. Simian Spirit Guide is 3 CMC, 2 colorless and a red for a 2/2 creature ape spirits. Of course, we're never going to cast this card because you can exile Simian Spirit Guide from your hand to add 1 red mana to your mana pool, just helping us power out Jhoira even sooner. Everflowing Chalice is 0 mana with multi-kicker 2, which means you can pay 2 as many times as you want when you cast it. When it enters the battlefield, you put a charge counter on it for each time it was kicked. You can tap it to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool for each charge counter on Everflowing Chalice. In this deck, it's okay to just drop it for 0 to draw a card. That's our goal with this deck, is to just drop 0-cost artifacts and draw through our entire deck. Krark Clan Ironworks is 4 colorless mana for an artifact. At any time, you can sack an artifact to add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. This is going to be immensely powerful, as we're going to play a ton of artifacts and have nothing to do with them once they get to enter the battlefield effects. So this just turns them into more mana, so we can continue casting more spells. And of course, we're going to need some major card advantage, especially for a combo deck. First up, classic Storm card, Gitaxian Probe. 1 Phyrexian blue mana, which means you can either pay a blue mana for it or pay 2 life. Look at target player's hand and draw a card. Basically, it's a 0-cost way to add to the Storm count and draw cards. Brainstorm is 1 blue mana for an instant, draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. Just getting that additional card selection is super, super important in this deck. Ponder is 1 blue mana for a sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put them back in any order. You may shuffle your library, draw a card. Preordain is 1 blue mana for a sorcery. Scry 2, then draw a card. Serum Visions is 1 blue mana for a sorcery. Draw a card, scry 2. Opt is 1 blue mana for an instant. Scry 1, draw a card. Thoughtcast is 5 CMC, 4 colorless and a blue for a sorcery that has affinity for artifacts. That means it costs 1 colorless less to cast for each artifact you control. And in this deck, it's going to cost 1 blue mana. Draw 2 cards. Treasure Cruise is 8 CMC, 7 colorless mana, and a blue for a sorcery with Delve. Each card you exile from your graveyard while casting the spell pays for 1 colorless mana. Typically, you're going to want to fill up your graveyard and just exile 7 cards to pay 1 blue mana for this, and it's draw 3 cards. Poor Man's Ancestral Recall, always welcome in EDH. And Dig Through Time is 8 CMC, 6 colorless blue for an instant that also has Delve. You look at the top 7 cards of your library, put 2 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. This is absolutely awesome when you pay only 2 blue mana for it and exile 6 cards in your graveyard. Skull Clamp is awesome in this deck. It's 1 colorless mana for an artifact equipment, equip cost of 1. Equip creature gets +1, -1. Whenever equipped creature dies, draw 2 cards. Just a great way for us to cycle through those artifact creatures we're going to be playing and get additional card draw off of them. Gamble is 1 red mana for a sorcery. Search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, discard a card at random, then shuffle your library. Only 1 mana, get the finisher card that you need, close out the game. Mystical Tutor is 1 blue mana for an instant. Search your library for an instant or sorcery card, reveal that card, shuffle your library, and put that card on top of it. This is a card that we can actually play during our turn and follow up with an artifact to draw into our kill condition, adding to the storm count in the process. Very, very powerful in this deck. Merchant Scroll is 2 CMC, 1 colorless and a blue. Sorcery, search your library for a blue instant card, reveal that card, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. We are running a ton of blue instants. This is going to be super powerful in this deck. And of course, we do run some interaction. Our key piece of removal is Vandal Blast. It's 1 red mana. Destroy target artifact you don't control. You can also overload it for 4 colorless and a red and destroy all artifacts you don't control. Dispel is 1 blue mana for an instant counter target instant spell. That's important because we're just looking to stop people from countering our combos. We don't want people interrupting us when we're storming off. Flusterstorm is 1 blue mana for an instant. Counter target instant or sorcery spell unless its controller pays 1 colorless mana. And it also has Storm. So the more we're going off in a turn, the more powerful this card becomes. Pact of Negation is 0 mana for an instant counter target spell at the beginning of your next upkeep. Pay 3 colorless and 2 blue. If you don't, you lose the game. We really only want to play this to protect the combo because we're winning this turn. So we'll never have to pay that 5 mana. Pyroblast is 1 red mana. For an instant, choose 1, counter target spell if it's blue, or destroy target permanent if it's blue. Once again, we just don't want our cards getting countered. Counter the counter spells. Red Elemental Blast is 1 red mana. For an instant, choose 1, counter target blue spell, or destroy target blue permanent. Counter the counter spells. Spell Pierce is 1 blue mana. For an instant, counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 2. Counter the counter spells. Swan Song is 1 blue mana. For an instant, counter target enchantment, instant, or sorcery spell. Its controller creates a 2/2 blue bird creature token with flying. Counter the counter spells. And of course, we've got our breakfast foods. Ornithopter is 0 mana for a 0/2 artifact creature Thopter. It also has flying. Memnite is 0 mana for a 1/1 artifact creature construct. Shield Sphere is 0 mana for a 0/6 artifact creature wall with Defender. Whenever Shield Sphere blocks, put a -0/-1 counter on it. Phyrexian Walker is 0 mana for a 0/3 artifact creature. Zuran Orb is 0 mana for an artifact. Pay 0, sacrifice a land, and gain 2 life. You notice that I'm going through a lot of 0 mana artifacts. The reason is these are super easy to storm off with. Each one of these counts towards adding to your storm count, and in the process, with Jhoira in play, you're drawing a card to replace it each time you play one of these. Also, great for us to get back in our hand with spells like Retract and Hurkyl's Recall. Mishra's Bauble is 0 mana for an artifact. Tap it, sacrifice Mishra's Bauble, look at the top card of target player's library, draw a card at the beginning of the next upkeep. Just more Cheerios. We got a whole bowl full of Cheerios in this deck. Spellbook is 0 mana for an artifact. You have no maximum hand size. Tormod's Crypt is 0 mana for an artifact. You can tap it, sack it, exile all cards in target player's graveyard. Welding Jar is 0 mana for an artifact. Sacrifice Welding Jar, regenerate target artifacts. A Quarter Shield is 0 mana for an artifact equipment with an equip cost of 3. Equipped creature gets +3 or +0/+3 and has vigilance. Bonesaw is a character in the first Spider-Man movie. Oh, and it's a 0-cost equipment that has an equip cost of 1. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. I believe Bonesaw in Spider-Man was played by the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Cathar's Shield is 0 mana for an artifact equipment with equip cost of 3. Equipped creature gets +0/+3 and has vigilance. Darksteel Relic is 0 mana for an artifact. Darksteel Relic is indestructible. Fountain of Youth is 0 mana for an artifact. You can pay 2 colorless mana, tap it, and you gain 1 life. Herbal Poultice is 0 mana for an artifact. Pay 3, sack it, regenerate target creature. Kite Shield is 0 mana for an artifact equipment. Equip cost of 3. Equipped creature gets +0/+3. Spider Silk Net is 0 mana for an artifact equipment. Equip cost of 2. Equipped creature gets +0/+2 and has reach. Well, that's it. That was our entire Cheerios deck tech for Jhoira Weatherlight Captain. If you enjoy our content, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. This has been Metagame Mastery. Oh, yeah!